Welcome back to the Arbitress YouTube channel. In today's class, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful kissing pleat dress. You can see it has inverted pleats to it. It's a Princess Dart Bustier and it also has a drape around the neckline. I'm going to take you through how to cut and sew everything in this class, and then it also has two side pockets as you have seen. It's a really simple tutorial and it's really beautiful. As you can see, I'll take you through how to cut and sew this. Like I said, if this is something you'd like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using this Mikado fabric as my main fabric. I'm using a suit lining, and then I'm going to use Duchess for the drapes. So first we're going to draft the pattern. So for the pattern, you will need your, depends on what you want. I want to give it a bustier cut, but you can also use a regular waist dart. So for me, I'm going to need my armhole depth measurement. I need my bust point, my under bust, and I'll also need my half length as well. So these are the measurements that I need. I'm just taking the measurement here again so that I can have a straight line. So once you have all of that, I'll go ahead and make them into straight lines. Okay, so it's like a regular bodice. You need to create your you need to input your shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I have 8 inches here. For the neck width, I'm going to be using 4 inches, like a boat canoe neckline, so it's not so tight. I'm using 4.5 inches for the neck width and 4.5 inches for the depth as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect it. You can use any neck measurement you want, but I don't want the depth of the front to be too up. Remember, there's a drape, and I don't want the neckline to show at all. That's why I'm using it as 4.5 inches. You can even do lower than that. I'm down here for my shoulder slope, and then I connected it to the neck width. So to form my armhole line, I'm going to take 8 inches on the armhole line as well, which is my shoulder measurement, and then I'm going to connect. So you're going to mark that line and note the midpoint, and then on the midpoint I'll come in by 1/2 inch, and then here I'm going to take my bust measurement. The bust I'm working with is 45 inches, so the measurement you're working with is bust 45 and waist 38. Okay, we don't need hip because it's a pleat dress. So 45 divided by 4 is going to give me 11.25. So I'm going to mark that here, and then use your curve ruler to create an armhole curve. That is done. I'm going to input my bust span measurement. The bust span is 9 divided by 4 by 2 is 4.5. So I'm going to mark 4.5 on my bust. On my waistline, this is my under bust line, this is my waistline, this is my bust point, and this is my armhole line. So I'll mark that on my bust and waistline, and then I'm going to connect them together up to my bust point. So come to your shoulder here, measure what you have there and divide that by 2, and then you're going to connect it to your bust point. So after this, you take your actual dart. So on my waistline, I'm taking a dart of 1 inch on both sides. I'll do the same thing for the under bust, and then I'm going to connect them together. So once you are done with this, you take your curve ruler and then connect it. Sorry, this is the only curve ruler I have right now. So please use a good curve. You are going to connect like that on the 2 sides. You can see how I'm connecting it. So once you have that, I'm going to be working with a bust dart for this. So I'll take my round measurement. The waist is 38. 38 divided by 4 is going to give me, I think, 9.5. 38 divided by 2 is 19. So divided by 4 is 9.5. So here I'm going to mark what I have, 3.5 inches. And then I'm going to complete the 9.5. So I'll just extend my line, and then I'm going to connect like this. So for my bust dart, my waist for the back is shorter by 2 inches, so that is what I'm using for the bust dart, and then I'm going to connect it to the bust point. So this is what I have now. Okay, you can actually cut this out, so you can choose to tighten your shoulder a little bit. So I'll just take half an inch or 0.25 on both sides, and then you connect that to your bust point like this. So this is what I've done so far. I just want to extend this shoulder a little bit so that I can mark what I have here, and then I replace it back here. So here you can just take few points so that you don't have too much shortage, and then you're going to redraw your armhole curve following the points that you have. Just make sure that your points match. So it's just like you do your normal. The main thing is the drapes. Okay, so this is now my new armhole curve. So the front is ready. The next thing is to go ahead and drape the back. So for the back, it's easy. I'm going to mark my armhole measurement, and then my shoulder measure, my waist measurement. The waistline for the front is 17.5, for the back is 15.5. So I'll take that measurement here again as well, and then I'll make it into a straight line. I'm going to have a zipper at the back. So here you come in by 1 inch to avoid zipper bulge, and then I'm going to connect. So from there now, I'll take my actual zipper allowance. You can do 1 inch, you can do half an inch, you can do 0.75, depending on how big the person is and how curved the back is. So once you have that, now you can start taking your actual measurement. So the shoulder is 8, so I'll mark 8 inches here. Come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then the same 4.5 inches that I used for the front is what I'll use for the back. You have to use the same shoulder width because you're going to join them on the shoulder, but the neck depth can be different. You can use whatever you want for your neck depth. So for the back, I'm using 2 inches for my neck depth as against the 4.5 that I used for the front. So the next thing now is to mark your dart. My bust span is 4.5 inches. So 4.5 inches plus my 1 inch for zipper allowance, that's 5.5. So here, from here, I'm going to mark the 5.5 inches here and here as well, and then I'll make that into a straight line. So I'm going to take half an inch on both sides for that, and then I'll connect it just as shown. So once you do this, I'm going to mark my armhole line. So the armhole is 8 plus 1 inch zipper allowance, that's 9, which is the same thing that I have on my shoulder. So I'm just doing this so that I can get a straight line, and then I'm going to mark my bust measurement here. The bust is 11.25. so I hope my camera is capturing. Bust is 11.25. so here now I'll simply just take my curved ruler to connect my armhole. Okay, so this is my armhole for the back. So here I'm going to mark my waist. The waist is 9.5, and then the 1 inch that's here, I'm going to put that back, and then I'll connect. So this is the back pattern that I'm going to be working with, while this is the front pattern. So the next thing is to go ahead and cut this out now, and then I'm going to cut it on my fabric. Okay, I've gone ahead to cut it on both my lining and my main fabric. You can see this is the side front. Please make sure you close your bust darts before you transfer your fabric. And I also added my allowance on my main fabric. Okay, this is the center front as well. Okay, you can see. So now you can choose to part this, and this is the back. The back is just a single piece. I notched where I'm going to be taking my dart so that it's going to be easy for me when I want to sew. So you can choose to part this with whatever you want, but I don't want it too heavy, so I'm just going to be ironing ST on the lining. You can do 2 layers so that it can just make it pop a bit. I'm not adding anything on my main fabric. I'm just going to leave the fabric as it is. So now, after ironing the ST, it's simple. The next thing to do is to take it to your sewing machine, and then you're going to join the bustier together. That's for the front. And for the back, all you need to do is to sew your darts. Okay, so when I'm doing that, when I'm done doing that, I'll bring it back to show you. I'll iron it, then we're going to use the lining to turn the main fabric. You can see now that I've gone ahead to iron ST to my lining alone. I ironed 2 layers to the front. You can see 1, 2, and for the back I just used 1 layer. You can choose not to use ST, but the little things always matters as well. So this is my lining and this is my main fabric. If you want, you can iron it to your main fabric as well, but I just want the fabric to remain the lushness that it has, so that's why I'm not fixing any hairstay. So I'll go ahead and sew now. So I'm done sewing it, and then I ironed my seams open. You can see this is the lining with the ST, and this is the main fabric. So for the main fabric, the fabric frays a lot, so what I did was to use ST to seal the edges after ironing the seams open. You can see how I did that. So this is my main fabric, and for the back, these are the back pieces that I have. I've ironed the darts as well, and everything is looking flat. This is the second lining. So now what you just need to do is to use your lining to turn your main fabric. I'm going to be placing them on each other like this, and then I'll go ahead and sew the neckline and turn it, and then I'm going to sew the armhole as well, and then close the side. So after doing that, I'm going to notch and turn, then iron. I'll do the same thing for the back as well. I'm going to place the lining and the main fabric against each other like this. Then I will sew the neckline. I'll sew the neckline, sew the zipper area, sew the armhole and the side. So you just have your waist area opened and the shoulder. Those are the 2 parts you have open. Then I'm going to turn it out. I've gone ahead to turn it with lining. This is what it looks like now. You can see this is one of the back, this is the other side of the back. This is the right side. So this is what the right side looks like. Okay, so now for the main fabric, for the front, sorry, this is the front. Okay, so it's going to have a little bit of padding effect, because remember I said I used I ironed 2 layers of hairstay to the lining. That's why you see it standing like this. You can see, and I did not touch the front because you can see how shiny it is, so I don't want it, the estate, to just remove from it. You can see how it looks like on the lining, so that's why I did not put anything on the main fabric. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and join it on the shoulder. Okay, I'm going to place them right side facing right side, and then I'm going to join the shoulder together. Then after joining the shoulder, I'll join this side. Then you're going to use your waist measurement to cut out your flare. I've gone ahead to sew it. You can see this is what I have. I have joined the sides. This is what the inside looks like. So I'm going to place the flare, and then I'm going to weave it up. So this is what I have. So for your flare, you just need to measure what you have on your waistline. You had your zipper allowance to it, and use that to cut your flare. So this fabric is actually by 60. The length is 60 inches, and I don't want my flare to have joining. So what I did, instead of cutting the 360-degree flare ones, I cut two 180-degree. And to my waist, remember my waist is 38, I multiply that by 2.5, because I want to have inverted pleats on it. So if you want more pleats, you can multiply by 3. If you don't want more, you can just multiply your waist circumference by 2. For me, I multiplied mine by 2.5, and then I divided the 2.5 by 3.14. So I use that to cut 2 flare. I don't know if you understand me. I'm going to link a video on how to cut flare. So for the length of the flare, you just need to remove your half length that you already have from your full length. So let's say my half length is 20 inches and I want my full length to be 50. So I just remove the 20 from 50, and then the length of my flare is going to be 30 inches. Then you had your same allowance for joining up here, and then you had hemming allowance to that. So I have cut out my flare. It's quite big, okay, and like I said, it's double flare, and I also want it to have pockets. So I joined this by the side. It has a side seam, you can see. So this is the front, this is the back. Okay, this is another back. This is another back. You can see the second pocket here, and then this is the front. So you can obviously see that it is in excess. I'm going to go ahead and pleat it to my waistline. So after pleating it, I'm going to cover it up with lining. If you want more fullness, you can add add net to it. I think I'm going to add to mine, I'm not sure yet. But if you're adding add net to it, you need to cover it up with your lining. So this is my lining. It is also cut in form of a flare, but it does not have any excess. You can see that is just my actual waist measurement. So I'm going to use the lining to turn everything out. So I'll do all of this now, and then we'll move straight to the drapes. So this is the dress. You can see I'm done making my dress, and you can see my pleats all over it. So the next thing is to drape this fabric on it. So I'm using a Duchess fabric. You can use crepe as well, or any fabric that just drapes. This measures around 3 yards in length, and then the width is about 36 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to note the midpoint of this fabric. So to know the midpoint, you just simply put it together like this, and then you know the center. So this is the center. I'm just going to fold this in like this, and then I'll start to drape it on it. So basically what we are doing is just to pin it on what we have here. So you can see what I'm doing. So you're going to be dropping it to your shoulder. That's the shoulder there. So I'm going to be dropping it from shoulder to shoulder so that it can align. Once you already note where the center is, then you do your first drape, and then you pin it down. So you drape it down, then you take the next drape. So when you take the next drape, you will be using your hand to adjust this as you are draping, and you make sure that you are pinning it to your shoulder line. So when you drape the first side, you adjust it, you go over to the second side, and then you do the same thing. So you go to the side. So what you're going to do basically is to drape side to side. You drape one side, you use your hand to adjust it, look at what you're doing, and then you go over to the next side, and you make sure that you maintain your shoulder line. So you drape all the fabric you have till you get to the last one. So when you get to the last one, you're going to fold it over so that the selvage is not going to show. So you fold it over just like I have done, and then you pin it to the edge of your shoulder. So this way you look at what you're doing, you use your hand to adjust it, and you make sure that it is aligning on your shoulder. So once you do that, this is what it is going to look like. Just look at it and see if you like what you have. So once you're done with that, you go ahead and sew it. Okay, you can see that I try to remove the pinning back, then sew it. So after sewing it, you will now take it to your sewing machine and sew it to your shoulder line. Okay, you're going to be sewing that. Since it is sewn together now, it becomes easy to work with. So you're going to just place it on your shoulder like that, and then you sew it to your shoulder line, just like that. I'm pinning it first so that when I get to my sewing machine, all I need to do is just to go ahead and sew it. So once you pin it, you take it off the mannequin and take it to your sewing machine and sew on the two shoulders. So once you sew it to the two shoulders, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have it sewn together, and your dress is going to be looking beautiful, just like you are seeing it here. So this is what it looks like now. You can see this is what the dress looks like. You can see the pockets, the two size pockets that we have there, and you can see how beautiful everything is looking. So this is the other pocket, and it's really full because I put adnet under mine, and I also use the Mikado fabric, which is a bit structured. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.